in New York. I'll talk about what the state needs to do, and there's a lot the state needs to do, and they need to do it quickly. But the city has to do our part of the equation, and that comes to our Rent Guidelines Board. The Rent Guidelines Board put out a report late yesterday, and I think it was very confusing to people, and I want to set the record straight now. It's a report they do every year. It is a report that explains in an objective manner what is going on with the economy and what it means for landlords, what their costs are. It's a report that's supposed to take stock of one piece of the equation. But as I said from the very beginning of this administration, the problem historically with the Rent Guidelines Board was, and I'll be blunt about this, it was over decades in the city, it's been around about 50 years, it was more focused on the interests of landlords than the interests of the vast majority who are tenants. And so when I came to office, I said the Rent Guidelines Board needs to consider both sides of the equation factually, objectively, and determine what to do. And the Rent Guidelines Board over the last 6 years, in several instances, decided that a rent freeze made sense. In other instances, that a rent increase made sense, but a modest one. It's been a much more fair equation since the needs of tenants were given the weight that they deserve. The report yesterday, I think, was misleading because it suggested that the interest was in what landlords are going through, and I said very clearly last night, the challenges that landlords are facing right now are real. I'm not belittling them, but they pale in comparison to the challenges that tenants are facing. It is abundantly clear, of course, the Rent Guidelines Board will hold hearings, it'll go through its processes very quickly and get to a decision. But to me, it's abundantly clear we need a rent freeze. The facts couldn't be clearer. Greatest economic crisis since the Great Depression. I can't even believe, and I never thought, as your mayor, I would be telling you that we were going through something that could possibly compare to the Great Depression. And when I think of the Great Depression, I think of the stories my older relatives used to tell me about that sounded like something that was so severe, so difficult that we couldn't possibly imagine it happening again. And yet, a lot of what we saw in the Great Depression is happening right now, right here. So my message to the Rent Guidelines Board is clear. Issue your reports, do your research, that's great. Hold your hearings as quickly as possible, take your vote, and give the tenants who are rent stabilized in the city, over 2 million New Yorkers, give them a rent freeze. They need it. It's clear, the facts are clear, let's get this done. Now, the state of New York has a lot more they need to do. And I've said this a number of times, and I know we've all been dealing with a crisis, the state's had a lot to deal with, but it's time to focus on the needs of renters. First of all, the most obvious solution, let renters use their security deposits to pay the rent now. This is something the state could do quickly and easily, and it makes so much sense. Those security deposits are stuck in escrow accounts. The tenant can't use them, the landlord can't use them until someone leaves their apartment for good. It makes no sense given that we're dealing with an absolutely unprecedented crisis. The state needs to act, free up those security deposits, let the tenant use them for rent. That helps the tenant, that helps the landlord. There's no reason not to authorize this right now. It's an emergency action that would help a lot of people. Second, for folks who can't afford it, look, some people can still afford their rent, that's great. Or some people can afford their rent for a period of time, and we hope the economy comes back quickly. But for folks who simply can't afford anything, and still, hopefully they can get that right to use their security deposits, but especially while they don't have that right, if people just run out of money, let them defer the rent. They can pay it back after a period of time. If people don't have any money, they don't have any money. I believe there should be a plan to allow people to defer their rent and then have a repayment plan that's set, that everyone agrees to, so the landlord knows they will get the money back eventually, but you can't ask people to come up with money they just don't have. And lastly, as I said, right now there is an eviction moratorium. This is something the city and state have worked on in common, the court system, everyone's on the same page. But it needs to be extended not only to the end of this crisis, but 60 days past the end of this crisis. Because what I do not want to see is is landlords, and this is not the majority of landlords, it's only some, but landlords waiting for that moment when the moratorium comes off and then start evictions. And I don't want to see a whole lot of New Yorkers put in that horrible situation just as soon as things get a little better, bang, here come a bunch of evictions. No. Let's give that 60 days to help people get back on their feet after the crisis ends and make sure we can avoid those evictions. So people need these things, they need them now. So I'll just make it clear to the state of New York, it's time to act. People need to know they're going to get through. And this is something that would give so many New Yorkers peace of mind and security at this moment where they need both. Okay, as I start to wrap up here, what we do every day is track the indicators. We talked about this week understanding our larger trajectory we're on, understanding the progress we made, but the challenges ahead of us too, and how we have to keep working hard, and then link up to that next phase where we're going to do the testing and tracing in May. So today, I am happy to say we have just plain good news. Our indicators are now moving all in the correct direction, which is down. So let me go over them. We've got, first of all, the daily number of people admitted to hospitals for suspected COVID-19. That is down. Again, these numbers on the 2-day lag, that's down from 227 to 176. So that's great. That's a serious decline. The daily number of people in ICUs across our public hospitals for suspected COVID-19, also down. So only a little, but it's still progress, 796 to 786. Now this is an area, again, where we need to see much more progress, but I still like seeing a step in the right direction. The percentage of people tested positive for COVID-19 citywide, down from 32% to 30%. The public health lab tests, down from 57% to 52%. Okay, just plain good day. Congratulations, because you did that. Everyone out there, you did this. Social distancing, shelter in place, you made this happen. Now, we got to keep doing it. The plan that we stated from the beginning, do this, all indicators down. We need to do that for 10 days to 2 weeks, and that's when we can actually start to talk about how to begin loosening up some of these restrictions and taking a step towards normalcy. And again, that handoff to the massive test and trace effort. Good day. Keep working hard. Let's get some more just like this day. So as I close, and I'll say a few words in Spanish, as always. Look, I want to just note, I talked to you honestly about these disparities we're facing in the city. And again, it's something we've talked about for a long time, but we're seeing it in a new, even sharper light, and it's even more unacceptable when you see the human toll, what's happened here. The important thing as we prepare for this next phase of the life of our city, as we prepare the long road back, but it will be a clear and strong effort to come back to, because that's what we do in New York City. We can never look away from these disparities. We're going to stare them in the face and beat them back. I think the important thing is that blunt honesty about what we have continued to learn and why it just does not fit with what we believe in here in the city, and how we have to fight it every day, and we can and we will. We'll do that together. Fighting these disparities makes us all stronger. Fighting these disparities fits what we believe in as New Yorkers. And there's a reason New York is admired and respected all over the world, and it's because it's a city for everyone. We have more work to do to ensure that everyone gets the same health care, everyone gets the same treatment when they need it. And that's what we're going to focus on as a big piece of our recovery ahead. A few words in Spanish. El coronavirus no afecta a todos de igual manera. Está afectando más a comunidades vulnerables. No vamos a aceptar eso. Vamos a combatir a este virus para proteger a nuestra gente. Le vamos a dar a cada neoyorquino toda la información y ayuda que necesite para vencer a este virus. Juntos. With that, we will turn to our colleagues in the media. And as I always like to say, please remind me or allow me to know both the name and the outlet of the person asking the question.
Hi all. Just a reminder that we have Commissioner Barbeau and Commissioner Mustofi from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs on the phone. With that, I will start with Lisa from NBC News Radio.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. I interviewed your son, Dante, a few months ago. He sounded great. And I wanted to know how your family is doing through all this. It's been a tough time for everyone.
Lisa, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I want to say it's been a tough time for all New Yorkers. We're all experiencing the same really challenging reality of feeling cooped up and feeling like we can't live our normal lives, and that frustration. But I also admire how people have just shown a lot of toughness and resiliency through it. I can say for my family, we're used to being out in the world. We love this city. We love the people of the city. We love the neighbors of the city. It's really strange to not be able to be out there and connected to people. I particularly miss the restaurants of our city, and I can't wait till they come back. But thank God my family, everyone's healthy. Everyone's well. We try and stay really connected despite all this. I will say Dante's going stir crazy. I don't think that's surprising for a 22-year-old. But he's connecting with his friends all over a lot, and